Full Metal Jacket is a 1987 film directed by Stanley Kubrick. In 1967, new recruits to the United States Marine Corps go through basic training under Sergeant Hartman. He uses negative reinforcement to motivate the potential Marines. That is the most prosaic way I can describe his behavior, but we will get to that later. Among the recruits are men that the sergeant christens Joker, Cowboy, and Gomer Pyle, a heavy-set, dim-witted young man who consistently fails at his training. Joker attempts to motivate Pyle in a gentler manner than the sergeant. It is initially successful. Pyle begins to work harder and complete his obstacles, much to the surprise of the sergeant. But Pyle soon spirals downward after his fellow recruits brutalize him. Pyle snaps, murders Sergeant Hartman, and commits suicide. In the second movement of the film, Joker has become a combat correspondent, which effectively amounts to propaganda for his fellow Marines. He meets up with Cowboy and other members of the Lust Hog Squad. They encounter the North Vietnamese on multiple occasions. On one, some of their squad is killed by a sniper. She is revealed to be a teenage girl. Joker commits a mercy killing, and the Marines march away singing a children's song. Portraying the Vietnam War and its effects in film have been done in a variety of ways. Platoon strives for realism, naturalism, a frightening, gritty display of what it felt like. This was achieved distinctly due to the director, Oliver Stone, who served in Vietnam and was able to accurately display the look and feel of the war better than most. Apocalypse Now went a different route, guiding us through mythology in the context of modern day. The screenplay was written in part by John Milius, who wanted to serve in Vietnam but was turned away due to a health condition. The aftermath of Vietnam is explored in films like Taxi Driver, with a protagonist who served and found himself changed after returning home. Vietnam films have become less and less common the greater distance in time we are from the war itself. Werner Herzog's Rescue Dawn is one of the only big Vietnam movies in recent years. Full Metal Jacket, unlike the others, employs a combination of bloody reality and black satire. Although Kubrick was no stranger to comedy in the face of war, having previously directed Dr. Strangelove, Full Metal Jacket takes you by the hand, slowly revealing that the Marines are fighting for a lost cause, or no cause at all. Why do we go to war? The simplest answer is resources, which splinters into subcategories like ideology and religion and any number of other contributing factors. But Kubrick was less interested in the broad view of war, the geopolitical machinations, the fight over land. No, his films examine the psychological and primordial causes of conflict, notably human insecurity, fear of the other, and a desire to prove oneself due to an evolutionary imperative to appear attractive. What is the motivator for conflict? In this scene, after a Marine dies, someone says that at least he died for a good cause, freedom. Animal Mother incredulously asks if anyone really thinks they are killing the Vietnamese for freedom. He says that he is doing this in hopes of having sex, perhaps as a reward, although he uses more colorful language. Much like in Dr. Strangelove, Kubrick connects sex and sexual insecurity with a propensity for violence. Joker asks who the dead soldier was. He is informed that the Marine was nicknamed Hand Job because he would masturbate at least 10 times a day, further suggesting that sexual frustration and violence are connected. Violence as a lover and the interconnectedness of one primal instinct and another is shown early in the film as the Marines hold their rifles in bed and give them a woman's name. Sergeant Hartman says that this rifle is the only woman they may have. They recite an oath to it, almost like wedding vows. The Rifleman's Creed is an actual part of the real United States Marine Corps, but its usage in this film is not meant as sincerely as it is in the real world. At the end of the film, Joker's narration suggests that he is dreaming of being greeted by some kind of sex party when he returns home. There are other instances of this. The Marines meet a sex worker and haggle over her price, not to mention this scene.
This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fun, and this is for fun.
The recruits in the film actually go through what some might describe as brainwashing. That is to say, removal of the personal identity, reprogrammed under a doctrine of conformity, and made into something else. First, identity. Sergeant Hartman strips away the names of the recruits, giving them, at times, embarrassing nicknames. He refers to them as not human beings anymore. Second, he tells them that he does not want them to be people, but rather weapons. When Pyle misbehaves or makes a mistake, Hartman exclaims that that must mean Pyle wants to be different. The beginning of the film shows them all becoming the same. That is not the only tool at Hartman's disposal, though. He also uses religion, making the recruits sing Happy Birthday to Jesus on Christmas, and admonishing Joker when he says he does not believe in the Virgin Mary. Sex, violence, and religion are all mixed when Hartman says that God has a hard-on for Marines, his words, and that God plays his games while the Marines play theirs. Emphasizing this further, Hartman says that the Marines keep heaven packed with fresh souls, the ones they kill, perverting the name of God to justify violence. This character is introduced while killing random people, possibly civilians. During this, Joker questions whether or not women and children count as confirmed kills to the United States military. The gunner finds this more funny than anything. Joker's friend, a photographer, actually eagerly awaits seeing combat, though the photographer never explains that he is doing it for freedom or that he wants to serve his country. He just wants combat in and of itself. Violence is portrayed as a means to its own end, not as a tool to create meaningful change in the world. Full Metal Jacket toys with these ideas, satirizing the military, infusing childish innocence into the grotesque. The song at the end, The March of Mickey Mouse, is the film's clearest example.
Who's the leader of the club that's made for you and me? M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E.
The idea is that this makes the war feel insane, laughable, impossible. So much so that one cannot support the war by the time the audience is through watching the film. The events of the second half of the film are foreshadowed in the first half. Hartman tells the recruits that they must never hesitate to kill or else they will end up dead, effectively saying that it is necessary to lose one's humanity in order to remain alive. In the second half, the Lust Hog Squad is forced to kill a teenage girl, begging to die. Joker's superior officer tells him to rewrite a story about a battle to give it a happy ending with one kill. This is what happens at the end. They have to kill one person, and afterwards, they sing a happy song that is wildly inappropriate for the setting, thus giving them a false happy ending. At the midway point in the film, Joker is told about the 1,000-yard stare, something only Marines who have killed possess. After killing the girl, Joker has that very stare. Kubrick once said he wanted to explode the narrative structure of film. Many of the shots in the film follow Kubrick's often used single-point perspective, or one-point perspective. However, he also experimented with shots that, as he put it, explode the structure. Another way that he shifted the narrative structure of the film in Full Metal Jacket is the insertion of faux documentary footage. It is shot differently from everything else in the film, giving it a sense of authenticity. The Marines, with their guards down, once again do not speak of the goals of the war, only the means. They also purposefully dodge questions about the politics of the war.
Do I think America belongs in Vietnam? I don't know. I belong in Vietnam. I'll tell you that.
In one scene, Joker remarks that his helmet says, "Born to Kill," and he conversely wears a peace symbol button due to Jungian duality. This is the distinction between the personal unconscious and the collective unconscious. The former is said to be the individual's thoughts, and the latter is composed of primal images found in all humanity. Peace as a personal hope, and war as a gut instinct based on our historical, ancient desires. Many of Kubrick's films are not easily understood, and because of this, their immediate reaction is different from their critical reevaluation years later. When Full Metal Jacket was released, it was not initially understood. Some mistakenly claimed it was practically a recruiting film for the Marines, but it does not take much excavating to discover the treasures it has under the surface.